Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Looks like we are live. Welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. So for the future live streams, I've decided to change it up a little bit, and I'm thinking I answer your questions, whether you leave them on YouTube's comments sections on videos, or on my Instagram page as well at John the Video Guy. If you ask any After Effects or Premiere Pro questions, I'm going to start hand selecting a few that kind of overlap and that I think are valuable for a lot of people to, know. So, when I respond to YouTube comments, only that one person or the people watching the video might only see that. So I figured, why not incorporate it into the live stream? That way everyone can learn, especially if you have the similar question that was asked in the comments section. So I put together, I believe, 12 questions for this live stream. So I have them ready to go. And then afterwards, another thing that I'll do is edit live. So, I'm going to work on a video editing project. So you can feel free to ask questions as I edit. If you have questions that weren't answered today, feel free to leave them. And maybe if I don't know the answer, I'll just say I don't know the answer. But I can definitely look into it and develop some research. And a lot of the questions, sometimes if you do leave a comment on YouTube, I might not answer right away. It might be something that I have to dig deeper into to find a solution or maybe a possible solution for the type of question that you're asking. But just know that I do see all the comments that do come in. You're not being ignored. I take each one, I do see them and I do scan them. So just know that I am seeing them all. And if you don't hear a response from me, I probably don't have an answer for you. So that's that. But yeah, later on in this stream, I will be showing how to repurpose long form content to be YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. If you don't know, I post a lot of Shorts and Instagram Reels, kind of short form, vertical, 15 to 30 second tutorials, tips in Premiere Pro. So be sure to check out my Shorts feed on YouTube and as well on my Instagram page if you want to see a lot of backloaded content. I've created hundreds of Shorts. So feel free, view them, watch. They're very easy to, watch. You can learn a lot of quick tips here and there, especially if you're new starting inside Premiere Pro. But I'm going to show you how to repurpose. I made like a long video, like a 6-minute video, and I'm going to show you how I break that apart and make, maybe each section like a YouTube short out of that long form content. So that might be valuable for you if you, want to see how I repurpose long form content into short form content, and specifically going from like horizontal footage to like vertical footage. So that whole process is going to be covered later in this stream. But without further ado, let's dive in and let's jump right on into question 1. And I made a fancy graphic for each one of these. All right, so question number 1 comes from a YouTuber, or a YouTube user, I should say. This was in regards to my best Premiere Pro export settings for YouTube in 2022, and they asked how about Instagram. Now, if you didn't see this video, this covers how to export horizontal video for YouTube. The best recommended settings for YouTube. But Instagram obviously has, a different platform. It's different in that, obviously for Instagram Reels, it's vertical content only. I think you still can upload horizontal video to Instagram, but I don't think a lot of people do that. For the most part, if you are exporting video to Instagram, you're probably exporting in a vertical format. So how do you export your video out of Premiere Pro for Instagram? I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, I pulled up a project here, and actually I have to make a new, if we're going to show an example, I'm going to make a new sequence. So say if you're making an Instagram Reel and you want to make a new sequence, you can just click on the new item button in the project panel. You can go to sequence, create a new sequence here. I'm going to scroll down. I have a preset already made, so the YouTube Shorts preset or Instagram Reel, pretty much it's the same. It's 1080, 1920, pretty much the same format for either Shorts, Reels, TikTok, that vertical format. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to just name this short number 1, and we'll come back to this later when we start editing. And I'm going to click OK. I do have Keycaster in the bottom right hand corner, so you can see my keystrokes as I go through everything. So say I'm just going to drag this out, this video clip out to my timeline here, keep existing settings, and obviously you can see it's horizontal, and it kind of sizes it down, trying to fit it to the horizontal space. But what we can do is easily go to Effects Controls, and then just reset this motion property. And this will spit it back out to 100, and then we can scale it up. And now it fills the screen. So let's pretend this is our finished Instagram reel. How do you export it? What are the best settings? What I recommend for vertical content specifically is just use high adaptive bitrate. So what you can do is go to Export, and then from the format, it should be H.264. It's the same universal format. This is the most highly recommended export setting. I did make a whole live stream going over the best export settings and kind of like breaking down what all the different codecs mean and all of that. So if you have questions about export settings specifically, and this isn't a good enough overview of export settings, definitely check out that live stream where I really deep dive into a lot of the different technicalities. But in general, H.264 is the most popular export setting, so I do highly recommend that. It's a good quality versus file size, so it's a good mixture. It's not going to be like this raw, ridiculous, large file, but it's going to be a nice enough high quality export setting that you can use for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all of that. So H.264, highly recommend. And then under preset, what I recommend changing it to is match source adaptive high bitrate. What this will do is Premiere Pro will read your footage and determine the bitrate best for the video that it was shot on. So I recommend this because, every vertical, it really depends how you shoot your vertical format. If you shoot horizontal and you convert it to vertical like I just did, or if you shoot on your iPhone and it is already vertical, this will pretty much cover any aspect. Adaptive high bitrate, it'll analyze your footage and it'll determine the best bitrate settings and export and the quality for your export. So I recommend that for Instagram Reels. Then obviously you just choose your file location and then click export at the bottom right, and that will export out your reel. You can experiment with this. If you do have issues with this, you can always change your bitrate settings. To do that, what you can do is twirl down video, and then you'll want to click this more button. And then just scroll down all the way to the bottom, and you'll notice your bitrate settings. You have bitrate encoding, VBR1 pass. Right now, the adaptive high bitrate is set to 19. So 19 is a relatively high bitrate. But say if you're experiencing blockiness or some type of digital distortion, you might want to experiment with this number. I can't say that word. Digitization, or kind of like a buffering. If buffering's happening, you might want to lower it, because what bitrate is it's how much data is in the video capsule of the video file. So if it's really large, like 19, if people are trying to download it and view it, they might not have enough download speed or internet speed to see it properly. So you might want to experiment with this number, maybe knock it down to 10 or 8. That might be better. But I would do this first, see how it goes, experiment, upload it. This is what I use for my settings when I upload to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. I haven't had an issue. But like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can record YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. It really depends how you record it and the issues you might run into. So if you have problems, I would start here, go into the bitrate settings, adjust the target bitrate from 19. You can decrease it. I would start at 19 and then decrease it, see if it fixes, the buffering, if that is something that's happening. If it looks distorted or like, there's not enough data, then you want to slide it up to the right, and that way it adds more data into that video file. But yeah, that answers that question, hopefully. That's what I use at least. So I hope this was valuable. Now let's go into the next question. All right, so the next question here that I have is referring to my After Effects preference settings video. So basically I made this video and it goes over all the preferences inside After Effects. Made it earlier this year. This guy said, "Hey John, great vid. You are my sub. Quick question though, I can't seem to have the secret menu appear while clicking shift. Any idea why? Can't find any answers online." So I experimented with this a few times and I noticed a weird thing with this. So the secret menu, what you have to do in order to access it is hold down shift while clicking into one of the preference windows. But what I found out is I believe that you have to hold down shift until the menu pops up. And I'll show you kind of what I mean here. All right, so I'm going to toggle back to After Effects. So for example, if you go to preferences and let's say you can see based on my keycaster in the bottom right hand corner, you can see how long I'm holding down the shift key. You can see it lighting up in the bottom right corner. So say if you hold down shift, click, and then let go of shift, and then the preferences will open, it won't do it from what my experience is. You shouldn't see the secret menu button at the bottom. What I think you have to do is keep holding down shift entirely for the entire length of time. So say if you go to preferences, general, hold down shift, click on general, and then you just keep holding down shift. So you can see I'm holding down shift, I'm waiting for that menu to load, and then the secret menu appears at the bottom. So that's how I think you just have to keep holding down shift and then it appears. So this is what I've kind of found out with this situation. But this is how you get the secret menu to open, and then you can disable your layer cache if you do choose so from the secret menu. And then ignore sequence rendering errors. Danger. But that's what's inside the secret menu of After Effects, if anyone was curious about that. All right, so that I hope answers that question. Let me know if you guys find anything different with that. All right, so the next question. This is question 3. Or no, wait. It's the same one. I messed up my recording. Let's see, I have the originals here. Hold on one moment. All right, so I messed up the question 1 was supposed to be question 3, and then question 3 was supposed to be question 1, if that makes any sense. But I have it up on my screen here as I made these videos, but I didn't load it into OBS correctly. So if I share my screen, this is the actual question that was asked. So this question was asked still regarding to my After Effects preference settings. Is it possible to use 8 gigabit RAM to run After Effects? And what's interesting about this is that I believe After Effects updated their minimum requirements to run Adobe After Effects, where it used to be 8, but I think in either 2021 or 2022 they updated it. Because as I did some research into this, there's a lot of old articles that say or point out like, yes, you can run After Effects with 8 gigabyte RAM, or it's, you know, the bare minimum you can do it is 8. And then when you actually go to the actual website, which I'll pull it up, I have to find it. But if you go to the actual website here, you'll see that After Effects actually recommends, or the bare minimum is 16. So just pulling up Adobe's official, this is actually from the source here. So this is Adobe's website, After Effects system requirements. If you scroll down, you'll see for Windows, the bare minimum for RAM on a Windows machine is 16 gigabytes of RAM. And then recommended is 32. So they actually recommend 32, which is kind of crazy for me to think because, you know, I've been editing for a while now, for like 10 years, and having a 32 gigabyte computer 10 years ago, it was like, wow, that's a lot of RAM. But I mean, there's a lot of effects in After Effects. think that's why they call it After Effects. But yeah, they recommend 32, and it looks like minimum for Windows is 16. And I believe Mac is the same. Yeah, if you scroll down to Mac OS is 16 gigabytes of RAM for minimum and 32 gigabytes for recommended. I personally, this computer that I'm running the live stream on and that I record my tutorial content on has 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it does work with After Effects, but I do notice it here and there when I record my tutorials. It does lag here and there. And then the computers that I actually use at my place of work, those have 32 and 64 gigs, which run a lot smoother. I do recommend, I would recommend at least getting 32 if you are looking to work in After Effects a lot and you do a lot of different visual effects motion design. If you just use it here and there for like a lower third or like one thing once in a while, I think you can get away maybe with 16. But if you're a serious motion designer, visual effects artist, I would at least get 32. Hope that answers that question. Now, keep in mind, I don't have an 8 gigabyte RAM computer with me, so I can't really test it if 8 gigs actually does work. Like say, you have an 8 gigabyte computer and you open up After Effects and it just says like, hey, I can't open. I don't know if that actually does happen or not, so I can't confirm that is actually the case. But that is... that's what I have for that question. All right, let's go on to question number 4. All right, so this one relates to closed captioning. So when you work with subtitles inside Premiere Pro, one thing you might want to do maybe is to add closed captioning to an already exported video, and maybe you already have a SRT file. How do you actually do that? That's kind of basically what this question is asking, because they say, I have my own SRT file and I can't see the CC button to break down the subtitles. Can you help me with that? So what you can do inside Premiere Pro is actually import SRT files, which I actually didn't know until I did some research on this topic. So let me show you how that works. So I'm back inside Premiere Pro. I will open up. What I'm going to do is actually import. I'm going to import a video that I already exported, and I already have the SRT file for. So I'm going to show you how this works. So say if I import a completed video, we will import this one. This is the one I just edited. So I have this, and then I also have the SRT file. So if you click on your SRT file and import it, this will import. And then say if you make a new sequence based on this video, so I'm just going to click and drag this to the new item icon. You'll create a new sequence. Now say if you want to add this SRT file as a closed captions or subtitles, the way to do that is you can just click and drag it to the timeline. And when you let go, you'll see a new captions track pop up on the screen. And then you can choose the format. So, if you wanted to do the standard 708, which I use for my closed captions, I usually click on that, or you can customize it. So I'm just going to do that. Everything else looks good. Source time code, which is correct, and then click OK. And you'll notice that it adds that SRT file and creates the captions for you. So that's the way that you can add your own SRT file to a sequence already. And if you don't know, what you can do from this, say if you wanted to animate this, you can upgrade these caption graphics as graphics. If you want to do that, you can select them. So if you want to marquee these graphics, then you can go up to graphics and titles and then click on upgrade caption to graphic. And that'll actually make it graphic. They'll convert the captions into graphic files, and now say if we zoom in here and we click on one, you can now go into effects controls and you have vector motion properties where you can actually animate this on and off. You can do a lot of different fun things with it. If you see like animated subtitles, that's how you can accomplish that. But I hope that answers that question. That's how you add a SRT. An SRT file you already have, that's how you add it to a Premiere Pro sequence or timeline. And it's really nice because it just already creates the video file for you. All right, so that's that question. Let's go on to the next question, which I believe we're on 5. I really messed this up, guys. I don't know what I did here. Let's see, what is question 5? I gotta load my settings better. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. All right, so this is the actual question here. All right, so for auto export H.264 files in After Effects, I made a tutorial how to do that. You can set up kind of like a render preset, and then you'll automatically, export it as a H.264 file. So this YouTube user asks, since we now have H.264 and AE, can I just uninstall Media Encoder, or are you still recommending it? Just wanted to know. This is a good question. I think it really just depends on the type of videos that you create. Me personally, I'm not going to uninstall Media Encoder because there are still scenarios where I use it. Especially since I use Premiere Pro. I think the big thing is if you use Premiere Pro, then you probably still want Media Encoder. But if you are just an After Effects user, you probably could get away with removing Media Encoder. But I recommend keeping it. That way, you always have Media Encoder in case After Effects is having issues for some reason. There have been times in the past where I try to export something out of After Effects, it doesn't work, and I kick it to Media Encoder and it works in Media Encoder, and vice versa on the opposite side. So it's always nice to have Media Encoder just in case something weird happens. The other thing with that, I would say, is that if you work on multiple After Effects projects at the same time, you might want to export your, maybe send, add your compositions to the render queue and then add those to Media Encoder, hit play and render those out, and then close your After Effects file and then open up another project that you're working on at the same time. If you have multiple projects going at the same time, then you might still want Media Encoder. That's sometimes the case with me, not that often, but sometimes I'll want to render something else and go into another project maybe. So that's another scenario where you might want to keep Media Encoder, but if that's not the case, then and you're happy with the H.264 settings inside After Effects, then I don't see a reason why to keep it if you don't need it. But I think it's just a personal preference. All right, let's see if my OBS is correct for question 6. Question 6, how about the other way around? How do you make a video that wasn't shot in log look like it was? This is a very interesting question. I don't know why you'd want to do this, but I'll show you how to do this if you wanted to do this. So basically the way to do that is you drag your clip to the timeline, you open up the color workspace, and the two things that you want to do to make it look like it was shot on log is desaturate it and then make the contrast less contrasty. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm in here. Say if I wanted to make this look like log footage, I'm just going to delete the subtitles. So let's see. All right, that's good. At least when my eyes open in the shot. So yeah, change your workspace to color. Could probably knock down the exposure a little bit too. Knock down the exposure, make it desaturated, and then slide this contrast slider all the way to the left. And then you probably have to almost like desaturate, probably looking like that. I want to say you might have to go color by color. If you wanted to go color by color, like make this blue even more desaturated. Because like right here, this is probably like where my skin tone would look more so. So say for the blues, you can go in your curve section, probably go down to hue versus sat and then click on the blue and then bring this blue down. And that looks pretty accurate, I would say, at least. At least that's what I think. But yeah, that kind of looks more like it. Another thing is kind of like more of a washed out look as well. Yeah, everything's more flat. So like, when you look at log footage, it's more flat. So let's see. If I go to Lumetri color or scopes, is that? There it is. So like the blacks have to go up. So this needs to be all compressed if we're looking to the left side. So like take your blacks, push it up, and then maybe even kind of like that, and then bring the exposure down. Yeah, it would look kind of like something like this. Yeah, I want to say this would be like what log footage would look like, and then that's how you would get that effect if you wanted that effect. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, that's how I would do that if I needed to do that. All right, let's go to question 7. Yeah, I messed it up, guys. I don't know why that happened. I thought I had it on correctly. Let's see, what is question 7? I think this is question 7. Actually, guys, I think this IG question is actually question 7. I don't think I showed you question 1 and 3. So technically, the IG question was question 7. But I don't know how it did that. All right, well, anyways, let's go back to this. So this is the question. In regards to After Effects and RAM, I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. In Adobe, it says only 8 gigabytes. I have 7 for Adobe and 1 for Rust. Any tips? It's running slow and crashing. So I think one of the big things when it comes to RAM is that if you know you have 16 gigabytes of RAM installed, let's say hypothetically you have 16 gigabytes of RAM installed, and when you open up, what this user's mentioning, say like you're either in Premiere Pro or After Effects, and you go to Preferences, Memory, it's only displaying installed RAM 8 here instead of 16. What that means, I think, is one of two things, hypothetically. It means that one of the cards, let's say how the computer is configured is you have 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes of memory. Maybe one of those sticks is actually dead. So I would check first and make sure that both sticks of RAM are actually working correctly. And I want to say you can do this in Task Manager or Activity Monitor. You can see actually how much RAM is in there. And there might be a few other utilities that you can use to check to see if your RAM is actually healthy. But I would check that first. It sounds like your RAM just isn't, it's not working, or maybe one of the sticks is bad. The other thing that could be is, say if it's not showing up like this, where you have 2 working sticks and they are working, and for some reason they're just not, reading inside Premiere Pro, it might be that the 2 sticks, the manufacturers of the RAM, aren't compatible with each other. So when you do research and you install your own RAM, you have to make sure that the manufacturer or the type of RAM is compatible with each other. So if you do one manufacturer of RAM and another, and you try to plug it into the same computer, it might not work. So I'm not really a big computer tech guy, but I do know that is a common problem in the past. Like, you have to really do a lot of research if you plan on using your own memory or RAM. But those are the 2 most likely scenarios of why it's not showing up in your installed RAM section under the memory preference settings for either Premiere Pro or After Effects. So I hope that adds some insight to that question, if you have a similar question. All right, let's go back into here. All right, so next question. This is in regards to my best free versus paid stock footage and music for video creators in 2023. Hello John, great video. Hopefully you will answer my question. I'm thinking about getting my own channel on YouTube about true crime. That's awesome. You already answered one of my questions in the video, but I was wondering if I want to upload photos of the case and videos relating to the case, what can I do to not violate the owner's rights? I appreciate if you provide some information on what to do. Thank you. So I use sometimes I use other like influencers content or other content creators content, but I only use like a few seconds of their content. So maybe 5 to 10 seconds. And I think that's the safest way to approach this situation, is only use a small portion of it. Typically, like when it comes to YouTube copyright section, creators can actually just file a complaint if they see that you use their content in your content. That actually happened to me. Click the wrong button. That actually happened to me last week. Like someone literally downloaded my video and just re-uploaded it on their channel without even like reaching out, and like, you know, they just like downloaded it and then they re-uploaded it, and it was actually an affiliate marketing video too, like supporting, I think it was promoting Envato Elements. So not only did that violate YouTube's community guidelines, it also has affiliate marketing implications as well with the FTC. But I don't know, based on YouTube's like search, like how much, I want to say it's like 10 or 15 seconds. And like, I wouldn't use more than 10 or 15 seconds of it. And I think when you go to upload a video into YouTube, it will match. When it goes to the checks portion of your upload area, it'll actually say like, hey, this is copyright music or copyrighted video or photos. It'll actually tell you even before you upload it. But to be safe, what I would do if you plan to use like, you know, news clips or clips from someone else, I would just credit them in the description, or even if you want to add like a lower third or like a top, maybe top left third, just a graphic of like where you got it from. That way it just covers your bases. That way you are crediting them, and you're not just like literally ripping off someone's piece of work, you know. Because, you know, news does that all the time. They'll just borrow from other stations or other people, you know, and they just give credit. But I would start there. I wouldn't use too much of it, 10, 15 seconds max. And then, you know, if you have any issues, then, you know, not, you know, maybe use shorter clips, I don't know, or maybe reach out to them ahead of time if you do have issues. That can also be an option for you. But that's how I'd approach that situation. That's how I've done it in the past. Like if I use like a clip from someone else's YouTube channel, I'll usually credit them in the description of the video. All right, let's go on to the next one. I believe we are on 9. All right, so this question. John, I can't import my video. Why is that? So there's a few different reasons why. There's a few different reasons why a video might not import into Premiere Pro. One of the probably basic reasons is it's just not compatible. You know, you can search for all of the different codecs that Premiere Pro supports. Let's see if I can find it really quick here. So Premiere Pro has its own, if I share my screen, it has their own supported sequence, still image, and movie size. So it does list like every single video codec that's compatible. If it's not compatible, then that's why you can't import it into Premiere Pro. So, you know, if it's a weird format, but usually, you know, Premiere Pro can support a lot of different video formats. It's very odd to have, you know, a file not be able to import or read. Actually, I think this list would be shorter if Premiere Pro just listed all the ones that we don't support. It's like one. But it really depends. I mean, if you're working with specialized footage, like a certain RAW file or a certain, you know, wrapper that isn't supported by Premiere Pro, you might run into that issue. If you are working with like normal footage, like MP4, MOV, and it's just like, it's like a very simple codec. Maybe it's like, yeah, it's MP4 or MOV and it's H.264 footage, and for some reason it's not importing. If that's the case, then something with the file is either wrong, or something with the metadata is either corrupted or not formatted in a way that Premiere Pro can read it. So if that's the case, you might be able to try to convert it. And, there's a few different tools that you can use. One is called Handbrake. So, if you go to Handbrake, I believe it's just called Handbrake FR, but this is what the website looks like. You can download this, and this is a free and easy video converter. I use this a lot to just convert or compress footage. And you can try, loading it in Handbrake, converting it, and then trying to re-import it into Premiere Pro, see if it reads it. Another tool that you can use is VLC Player as well. VLC Player, you can actually convert files as well. So, if you go to Applications, VLC Player. Oh, I don't have VLC Player installed. Wow, I didn't know that. I was going to show you how to do that. But yeah, basically, you install VLC Player and you open it up, you go to File Convert, and then you can choose your file and convert it that way as well. Basically, if VLC Player can't open your video, then it's not good. But yeah, I would try to, convert it first, see if you can import it. You can also try a different NLE as well. Let's see, you could always try DaVinci Resolve. Does it import in DaVinci Resolve? If it imports in Resolve but not Premiere, then it's a software thing. Like Premiere Pro, for some reason, doesn't have the driver, it doesn't have the codec where it can actually read it, And if that's the case, you can import it into Resolve, export it, and something Premiere Pro can read, and then import it. But in that case, and you just maybe you just use Resolve for editing. But that's how I would go about it. So, all right, so let's go on to the next question. I believe that was 8. Oh no, that was 9. All right, we're on 10, and we got 2 more. John the Video Guy, thank you for this video. I have a question, and to date, no one on Adobe AE community pages has a solution. How can AE's red dot render notification be turned off in Adobe Cloud? This is irritating, unwelcome. Look at me. Addition to AE will not go away. I work on a Mac and have notifications turned off, and my preference settings still this annoying thing pops up every time. Yeah, there's a few, with the latest version of After Effects, there's a few different areas of notifications, or where notifications live, where you can toggle them on and off. One of the things, I wasn't sure if when they say red dot, whether it's like literally this thing in the top right corner. Let me go to share screen. Let's say, is it like actually this thing up here? To get rid of that, you just click on it, notifications, and you got this. But every time After Effects renders it out, it might say, hey, your render is complete. So to get rid of that, what you have to do, there's 2 areas that you want to actually go into. So let's go back into After Effects. So the first place is After Effects Preferences Notifications. And then you want to uncheck this box. So when you uncheck it, it will not automatically enable notifications. And then you click OK. And then I'm just going to draw out something, a blank rectangle. There we go. But say like we render this out, we add it to the render queue. Another area that you have to turn off is this little notify checkbox. So by default, I believe this is on, and what you have to do is uncheck that, and then when you render it out, it should work. There shouldn't be any pop-up. But like if you go into preferences, uncheck that, and then this is checked on, this overrides that, so it will actually notify you, hey, this composition is done. So I believe that's a newer feature that came out in the one of the last few versions of After Effects. But yeah, that's how you get rid of that. All right, so next. All right, it doesn't show on my options tab. So this is in talking about the new track matte feature inside Adobe After Effects. A lot of the times you can't see certain tabs when you're working with, you're toggling from like, layer modes to, the motion tracking area. So to fix this, you have a few different options. So if I go back to my screen, so we're back here. If we go over here, what we can do is, you'll notice that there's this toggle switches down here. So like say if you're on this menu, then you can click this and then you can see the track matte section. So you can have this toggle switches and modes button, and this keeps your timeline thinner. You have more timeline space over here. But say if you wanted to just display everything, you can just click this button in the very bottom left-hand corner, and this will display everything. You also have other options that you can turn on, such as the render time, the in and out, time management section. I believe this is the expander collapse transfer controls pane. Oh, that's what it's called, the transfer controls pane. I never knew it had a name until I hovered over it. And then the layer switches pane, which that makes sense. That's all the switches. But yeah, if you both of these in the bottom left are turned on, then both are displaying. You don't have that toggle switches and modes thing as well at the bottom. So it really depends. If you need more timeline real estate or like more timeline space, then you can toggle one of these off and then just toggle between them at the bottom. But yeah, that's how you solve that issue. All right. Let's see. Wait a second. Oh, that was question 12. Okay. So this is the last question here. All right. So this question was in relation to my last live stream, which talked about how to create proxies inside Premiere Pro. So can you create them before you adding them to the timeline? You can actually. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to create proxies after they've been added to your timeline. So, directly, once you import your files inside Premiere Pro, you can create proxies right away. So yeah, just to show, if you go back in here, say if you wanted to create a proxy of this clip, and it's not in the timeline, you just right click, go to create proxy, create proxies, and it'll be just fine. Same thing as if you just added them to your timeline. So that is all the questions that I pulled or selected from this past week. If you watch this live stream later, feel free to add comments down below and I might answer them next time. But for now, let's dive into some editing. So I'm gonna start editing my shorts. So I made this video, I believe last week. And it is about 10 editing tips to get faster inside Premiere Pro. It's weird that it's not displaying. There it is. I got that. But yeah, what I'm going to do is choose some of the clips in here as YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. So how I usually do my videos is I'll create chapters inside my Premiere Pro timeline using green markers. So as we can see here, like this is one of the markers, work in passes inside Premiere Pro. Use adjustment layers inside Premiere Pro. Use the audio track mixer inside Premiere Pro. Audio track mixer is a really cool tool, so I'll probably make a YouTube short about that. So usually when I create a YouTube short, I just go down to new item, sequence, go down to YouTube short. I'll name this short number 1. Click OK. That's added. Yeah, I just played back and found kind of like the section that I wanted to use as a YouTube short. The weird thing about OBS, I haven't figured out how to share the audio from my internal computer to actually run it so that you guys can actually listen in. I think the best I can do is just export it out through the speakers, I believe. But yeah, unfortunately, there isn't really a good way to share audio. But yeah, I'm just going to copy and paste this into the shorts track, and we'll see how long it is. So right now it's 51 seconds. I think it can be a little trimmed up a little bit more. And what I'll do is just resize this footage right away too. So I'll just click on this. I'll size it up, and then I'll copy and paste the attributes. To do that, I just click on the clip, I hit Command-C, then I go over here, click on this clip, and what I want to do is add it to all of these clips on track 2. A clever way to do this is to use the track forward tool. That's this guy right here. So if you select this tool and then you hold down Shift, now if you just click once you select everything, but if you hold down Shift, you'll just select the track. So everything on video track 2 is selected, as you can see. And then I will just, let's see what happened here. I think it's Shift V. Yeah, Shift V is the paste attributes keyboard shortcut. So paste attributes, motion, click OK. And that way it's all centered up here. Same with this footage, I'll do the same thing. But this one I don't think I zoom in as much, but we shall see. And then probably just realign it so I'm more in the center. So once that's ready, I'll just hit Command-C. And you can also marquee select as well. You don't have to use the track select key or track selection tool. I'll hit Shift-V and then click OK. And now if we hide video track 2, all these A-roll clips are resized to be YouTube shorts. So I'm going to do is start with me on camera and then trim to this. I'll just make a cut, and then I'm talking about how low the audio meters are, so I'm going to just go over here, go down, zoom in a little bit, go over here, go down. Talk about instead of keyframing each word. Then I have keyframes. So I'm explaining how to get to the audio track mixer. Let's go way up there. Oh yeah, there is a workspace I should switch to for this. So yeah, if you work with vertical content, there's a new vertical video editing workspace. That way I can see more of the bounding area. Gonna move this out of the way. Put it down here. That's good. And then I'm just gonna copy that guy and then hit Shift V, paste the attributes to that. That way it's the same. I think I'll just trim this. Then over here, I'll just select this and then go over here. Then I think I can just copy that and then hit Command C and A, and we're just going to paste the motion property to the rest of them. And the window pops up. Just gonna click on this, slide it over. I'll go back to my levels. That's over here. There we go. Cool. Alright, so that's one short. Then what I usually do is I create one-word captions usually. So to do that, what I do is go up to Window Text. And I already made a transcript of my entire original sequence. So this one's updated for this timeline specifically. And to create captions, I'm just going to go to Captions, create captions from transcript. And then for this, I'm going to create custom one-word captions. To do that, what I usually do is just slide this maximum length all the way to the left, and then same with minimum duration. And then just be sure lines is set to single, create captions. This is usually how I create my single line captions, or close to single lines. Sometimes, like on my is pretty short, or so far, you know, it's 2 words, but it's a very short word. Alright, so what I usually do first is I go to the first one here. I'm just gonna ripple delete that. And then, let's see. Okay, my screen's not loading. I think I'm overloading my GPU. Yeah, that didn't solve it. Usually that solves it. Changing the renderer to software only rather than GPU accelerated. I think it's just mad at me because I'm live streaming while I have After Effects and Premiere Pro open. And as you've learned earlier in this live stream, I only have 16 gigabytes of RAM. Speaking of that, there it is. It just takes a minute. Alright, so usually I click on my first caption, I go over here, change my font to impact I like, it's easier to read. Then I change the size, maybe up to 100. And then I click this up button, and this will push the same style to all the other tracks. So I'll click OK. You go forward, then you can see it's the same font. And then for the position, what I usually do is I select everybody, I go to graphics and titles, upgrade caption to graphic, and then that creates graphics where now I can animate them if I want to, but what I usually do is just to change the vector motion properties. So I usually go to effects controls, wherever that is, it's up here. That's the thing with this workspace, like everything is so collapsed everywhere. Get it looking correct, might be around there. With YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, you have to watch like the sides and the bottoms a lot of the times, because like the subscribe or like the follow button or like the name of the song it's edited to, or like, you know, the swipe likes and comments section is like on this right side. So I usually try to just push this graphic up a little bit, and then copy the parameters over. So now that I have that one selected, I have to apply that same motion property, that same position to all the others. So to do that, I'm just going to hit Command C, and then I'm going to grab my track forward select tool by hitting A, and then hold down Shift to get it to only select one of the tracks. Click on this clip, let go, and then I'm going to go back to my selection tool and hit Shift V. And now this time what I'm going to do, I believe I changed the vector motion parameter, so I'm going to uncheck motion, check vector motion, uncheck time remapping, click OK, and now you can see that vector motion property is applied to all of those guys. Now I'm just going to watch it and make sure that it doesn't get in the way of anything. It's kind of over the video clip, but I don't really focus on the video clip that much, so I think that position's pretty good. Yeah, everything in this like tutorial is like near the top of the screen, so I don't really have to worry about the subtitle getting in the way that much. Thanks, Cheryl. I'm glad you're enjoying the shorts content. Yeah, I figured shorts and reels, they're a good way just for like short, like little tips here and there. Especially with editing, there's like a lot of little things there. Alright, yeah, that all looks good. Last thing I usually do is add a music track to this. So I'm just going to double click on my project panel. And I'm going to go to here. I usually have a shorts folder. Assets. I think this is actually the name of the song. Yeah. I renamed that track. It's not, the name of the song isn't Dropping Them Hot Tracks, but I was like, we're going to rename this to that. I'm going to click G on my keyboard to bring up the audio gain, and then I'm going to go to normalize max peak to -6, and we'll adjust some of the settings here to get it sounding correct underneath my vocals. What I'm first going to do is just grab my razor tool, make a cut at the very end, and then I'm going to click on this leftover part of the audio, and I'm just going to hit delete. And actually the audio track mixer is really good at this. So what I'm going to do is kind of mix this audio so it sounds good with the voiceover. So what I'm going to do is open up track mixer. First thing I'm going to do is apply a EQ effect to the music track. And then I'm going to open this up, and then I'm just going to drag this down. I'll also add an amplify effect, but instead of amplifying it, I'm getting rid of it. So maybe -12. Yeah, maybe -9. Yeah, -9 sounds good. And then actually for my voiceover, I forgot to actually add dynamics to this. So what I'm going to do is go up to here. Also, you can copy from other tracks. So actually that's a better idea here. So what I'm going to do is go back to my original sequence, and I want to copy these track effects to my short audio track effect. So what I'm going to do is right click on all of these, go to copy track effects, go to short number 1, and then over here paste track effects, and that way they're all added. All you have to really do is make sure that they're all enabled. That way they have the same effect. That all looks good. I'm always hesitant on background music. Like, it's like, is it too obnoxious? Is it not? Yeah, that sounds good for me. I'll try to, let's see if I can share the sound. This will pick up through my if I go to here, you should be able to hear it through my microphone, hopefully. Let's see. And then limiter and set the limit amount to -6. Now you'll notice that my levels are a lot higher. So this is how it sounds like. So for example, on my timeline here, I have a clip of me speaking, and as you can see by the audio meters, it's kind of low. So in order to bring this up, instead of keyframing, each word, we're going to use the dynamics effect using the audio track mixer. So to get to it, just go up to Window, Audio Track Mixer, and then select your sequence. Then you'll notice a new window pop up. Just scroll down from the top left, and then you'll notice that there's different tabs that you can add effects to. Where we'll need to go is under Amplitude and Compression, and then click on Dynamics. So just double click on the effect, and then the window will pop up. Check next to a compressor, and then change the ratio to 3. Usually this works for me, and then I change the makeup to about 12 decibels. Then I enable the limiter and set the limit amount to -6. Now you'll notice that my levels are a lot higher. Also, there's a loop button, so you can see how it loops. So to enable that, what you can do is go over here and loop playback. If you don't see that, you can always click this plus button, and this is what it looks like over here. You can click and drag this down. But now with that enabled, we can see how it loops at the end. So for example, on my timeline here, I have a clip of me. Are a lot higher. So for example, on my timeline here, I kind of like how that sounds. Kind of goes at the very end. All right, so this is good. What I usually do, kind of going back to the earlier question, was how to export this. What I usually do is use adaptive high bitrate. So to export it, I'm just gonna save this. I'm gonna go to export. And under preset, I'm just going to choose match source adaptive high bitrate. Click on my output folder. And I'll save it in here for now. Looks good. And click export. keep forgetting every time I go back, I get lower in the frame. All right, so that's good. And as always, guys, it's always important to watch back your exported video projects.
So for example, on my timeline here, I have a clip of me speaking, and as you can see by the audio meters, it's kind of low. So in order to bring this up, instead of keyframing, each word, we're going to use the dynamics effect using the audio track mixer. So to get to it, just go up to Window, Audio Track Mixer, and then select your sequence. Then you'll notice a new window pop up. Just scroll down from the top left, and then you'll notice that there's different tabs that you can add effects to. Where we'll need to go is under Amplitude and Compression, and then click on Dynamics. So just double click on the effect, and then the window will pop up. Check next to Compressor, and then change the ratio to 3. Usually this works for me, and then I change the makeup to about 12 decibels. Then I enable the limiter and set the limit amount to -6. Now you'll notice that my levels are a lot higher.
I thought I noticed a misspelling with the... I said limiter. Oh no, it looks good. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the subtitles are already checked because I already created them when I created the long form video, so they should be correct. All right, so let's make the next one. Let's see what this one was. This one, paste attributes. That's always a fun, one to do.
Another tip is to use the paste attributes function inside Premiere Pro. For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the other clips in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on my other clip in the timeline, or if you have multiple clips, you can select all of them, and then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. This saves time because otherwise you'd have to do this manually every single time, and that's just tedious.
All right, so I'm going to leave that selected, and then over here in my project panel, I'll move this up here. Right click on my short sequence. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to just name this number 2. And then over here, I deselected it. I'm just going to copy the, let's add a little bit. I just need this part to be my short, I believe. So I'm just going to marquee select that, hit Command C, and then go over to short number 2, and then I'm just going to delete everything other than the music track. I'm going to use the same music track to keep things simple today, and then hit Command V. And then that's all good to go. And then what I'm going to do actually is go back over to this clip. I'm going to copy the same parameters. So I'm going to hit Command C, go to short number 2, and then select all of these, and then hit Shift V and copy the motion, or paste the motion attributes. And the same thing with the my screen record. I'm going to hit Command C, go back over here. Same thing, Shift V, motion. That way we have a baseline for where everything is. So yeah, I see your comment in the chat, Sigro. When I try to save a text animation, like for example the pop and scale animation, and try to apply it to the other text, it copies the text as well. I just want to copy the animation. So to do that, you have to actually, yeah, basically what I'm showing now kind of almost covers it. You have to paste the attributes in order to paste the actual animation rather than the text file. So I'll just I'll go a little off script here. I'll grab my text tool. So say if you have, I'll just type out some text just as an example. I'm gonna toggle my transparency grid so we can see it. And then inside Essential Graphics, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna scale this up a little bit. And then I'm just gonna go to the center. So let's pretend that we animate this. So I'm gonna click on it, go up to Effects Controls, and Scale. You could either do vector motion or the actual video file itself. I'm gonna choose vector motion. So scale, click on the keyframe, we go out, hold down Shift, hold down Shift and click on the right arrow about 3 times, make a keyframe, go back to the original, click 0, and we'll pretend that's a fine animation you want to copy this to another text clip. So like, say you have this and we have another one, and we have that, and we'll scale this down. So this is a completely different text file, it's 2 different clips on the thing, and you want to copy that animation in on this one. What you can do is click on this, go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on this one and Edit, Paste, Attributes, and then just be sure that vector motion is selected. And it really depends, like, if you use the scale effect in motion, then motion has to be selected, or if you did it in vector motion, then that has to be selected. But it should do it. Yeah, it's the same animation. So that's how you can add the
Another tip is
the animation to the other text file. The only thing is, like, you'd have to adjust the anchor point or other parameters, accordingly, depending on how the animation was set up over here. But yeah, that's how you do that. Hope that was helpful. All right. So now that we have our short, or I kind of resized everything, what we can do next is, let's see.
Another tip is to use the paste attributes function.
I'm going to trim this because it is a little long. I think I'm going to start my YouTube short around over here.
For example, in my timeline,
I notice when I do YouTube shorts and Instagram reels, when I just kind of like go straight into it, it hooks people's attention more. Rather than saying, today we're gonna learn how to use the paste attributes function. So I'm gonna trim that first part off and then just slide over my music track and then ripple delete this section. We'll go to the beginning.
For example, in my timeline here, I have
yeah, that's gonna make people like stop scrolling and be like, whoa. For example here, if we're just going straight into it.
For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the... You'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom.
So when I say that, I'm just going to punch in on the top and bottom here a little bit. I'm just going to scroll down, zoom in a little bit. That way we can just see the top and bottom a little bit better.
You'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the other clips in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and...
So when I say the first clip, I'm going to make a cut using my razor tool, click on this clip and then just slide it over. So yeah, if we're over here. That way they see kind of like what's happening.
I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes of it.
And what I could do is kind of do a split screen, so kind of like basically put the effects controls above, or maybe even like do it where, let's see. Yeah, how about instead of the timeline down here at the bottom, I put the effects controls panel down here. So I'll show you how I would do that. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to basically re-add this same attribute over here.
Change the first clip and then copy the attribute.
So what I have to do is make a duplicate of that same video clip. So what I'm going to do is hold down Option and move it above. And then this top layer, what I'm going to do is reposition it so that the effects controls is kind of like down here. And then what I'm going to do is go to Effects and search for Crop. And then I'm just going to double click on this crop function or crop effect and then just trim the top off a little bit. So it kind of goes right there. And then we're going to go back to our motion area. I'm going to scale this up a little bit, slide it over. I'll line it up right about there is fine. And then what I'm going to do is toggle video track 3 on toggle video track 1. I'm going to hit up on my keyboard. I'm going to click on the track. And then I'm going to keyframe the position so it animates up. So I'm going to click on my stopwatch next to position. I'm going to hold down Shift and click on my right arrow 3 times. Make a keyframe, go to the beginning, and then change the Y value down a little bit. Then I'm going to just zoom in a little bit and add some easy ease on this last keyframe. I'm going to go to time interpolation, easy ease in. And then I'm going to twirl this down and just kind of smooth out this curve a little bit. I do have to say the easing inside Premiere Pro is a little clunky.
The first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip.
That way they can see what I'm doing inside effects controls and also see the effect inside the program monitor as well.
Change the first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, attributes of that clip.
All right, so this is where I go to edit copy. So I'm just going to trim this top one so that ends. I'm going to grab my razor tool and make a cut here. Then I'm going to click on this clip. And then I'm going to slide it over so that we can see where I'm going to edit and copy from.
Attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on my.
And then when I say click on my, I'm going to just kind of keyframe it so it goes over to the other clip.
Copy, and then click on my other clip in the timeline, or if you have multiple clips, you can select all of them, and then go up.
I think I'm going to remove the part where I say if you have multiple clips, you can select all of them. That just kind of, it's kind of like obvious, like, yeah, if you have more than one, then yeah, you can just do this all at once.
Timeline, or if you have multiple clips.
Delete that.
Clips, you can select all of them, and then go up to Edit, Paste, App.
Trim that.
Other clip in the timeline, and then go up to Edit.
And then over here, I'm just going to go back to Edit, Paste Attributes.
Timeline, and then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts.
Even the keyboard shortcuts mentioned, I'm probably going to cut that out.
Shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. This saves time because otherwise you'd have to do this manually every single time. And then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. This saves time because otherwise. And go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard.
I honestly think that should be the end of the video. But I think I also should show what it's doing in the timeline as well, or in the program monitor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Option, click, and drag up, and then kind of same thing. I'm going to go over here.
And then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. This saves time because
Yeah, I think that's fine the way it is right there. Yeah, I'll just trim this and then delete the end.
you just want to use your keyboard. For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of
Yeah, I think
this
that's fine.
soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars. For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the other clips in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on my other clip in the timeline, and then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip.
Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so last step is to do the captions once again. What I'm going to do is go up to Window Text and Transcript, Captions. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, I did that wrong. Whoops. Now I'm going to delete that. Hit on this. It should be a create captions. Or do I have to transcribe something? There it is. Yeah. Alright, so same thing. Click and drag this down so we get kind of like that one word look with the single line. Create captions. Create our captions for us. Change the font to Impact. Then I'm going to click this up button. This will push the style to all the other captions on the track. Now if we go forward, you can see all of them are the same. Then I'm going to upgrade the caption track. So I'm going to graphics, so I'm going to select all of them. Go to upgrade captions to graphic. Now they're down here. Then I'm going to change vector motion up a little bit. Push it up. That seems pretty good. I hit Command C, hit A, hold down Shift, click on this guy. That selects all of those clips on that one track. Then I'm going to hit Shift V and then select vector motion, uncheck motion, and then click OK.
For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice
it kind of covers, yeah, what I'm going to do, it kind of covers the clip. So what I'm going to do is just kind of move it up so it kind of hovers right above video track 3 there in my tutorial. Then I'm going to hit Command C, zoom out, and then just marquee select everything, and then hit Shift V, and then vector motion, click OK. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to play it back and we'll see how that looks.
For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the other clips in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes of that
right
clip.
Over that. Come on. Shame. The struggles of short form content. Alright. Let's try here. I don't know how this will look. Here, I will do something sneaky here. Yeah, when that pops up, we'll only paste it to basically these. And then it'll go back to normal once that thing is gone. We'll just trim this. Like that.
The first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on my other clip in the timeline, and then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard. For example, in my timeline here,
that looks good. All right, good to export. Match adaptive high bitrate, that looks good. Just save it in here. We're halfway home, guys.
For example, in my timeline here, I have a clip of this soccer player, and you'll notice that there are some bars on the top and bottom. I want to get rid of those and also get rid of them for the other clips in my timeline. In order to do that, I'll change the first clip and then copy the attributes of that clip. So to do that, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Copy, and then click on my other clip in the timeline, and then go up to Edit, Paste Attributes. There are keyboard shortcuts for this as well if you just want to use your keyboard.
Cool. Very good. All right, so the next one, let's see. Pancake sequences. This is a good one. I like this tip. I think it's going to make a good short.
If you find yourself using B-roll clips a lot, you might want to consider using pancake sequences. What this allows you to do is have two sequences open at the same time. So for example, you can take your B-roll sequence, put it above your other sequence, scrub your B-roll sequence, find the clip that you want, and easily just click and drag it to your other sequence. This is an easy way that you can...
That's all you need. Just that part. That'll make a good short or a reel. I feel like this whole live stream is just me trying to move this thing out of the way. Because no matter where I put it, I eventually use that part of the screen. There's no good home for it. Alright, so I just duplicated that. I'm just gonna delete the audio, video, and captions, leave the music track, and then paste. I'm also gonna delete the closed caption track so we're not creating too many of them.
If you find yourself using B-roll clips a lot, you might want to consider using pancake sequences. Put it above your time. So for example, you can take your B-roll sequence and find the sequences. So for example, you can take your B-roll sequence, put it above your other sequence, scrub your B-roll sequence, find the clip that you want, and easily just click and drag it to your other sequence. This is an easy way that you can add B-roll.
And we don't need that. And
easily just click and drag it to your other sequence. If you find yourself using B-roll clips,
very good. We just need to resize it, so I'm just gonna copy and paste the attributes from the other timelines. So since I know that's kind of like how it looks, and then this is just one clip. I'm just gonna resize this. I think I can get away with just kind of. I think I'm gonna slide this up, and here's a trick for you guys out there. I need more room on the bottom, so what I'm going to do is just kind of like slide it up. And then, actually I need a lot more room because we have to add subtitles too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold down Option, up arrow to move that clip up one track. And then I'm going to create a new solid, kind of like a new solid if you're into After Effects, but a new color matte, and then put it between this clip and the A-roll clip in video track 2. So what I'm going to do is click my new item icon inside the project panel, click on color matte, and then click OK. Then I'm going to click my eyedropper tool, and then I'm just going to match the color of the Premiere Pro UI interface. And I'm going to name this gray. That way I know what color it is. I'm going to click and drag this to my timeline, and then click and drag this out so it matches the same length of time.
And pancake sequences. So for example, you can take your B-roll sequence, put it above your other sequence, scrub your B-roll sequence, find the clip that you want, and easily just click and drag it to your other sequence. If you find yourself using B...
That's a cool tip though, I like that. I feel like this short's gonna do pretty good. Alright, so the text, gotta move this out of the way again. I'll put this like over here. I think it's okay in the corner. Alright, so transcript, the ellipticals, create captions. I'm going to slide this to the far left. Same with minimum duration, and then single lines. Click create captions. I'll create our captions. And same settings. I should really make a style out of this. But I kind of know the settings already. And it's just finding that sweet point of like where the best area is for the subtitles. Probably like right here would be good. That's where most of the action is. Gonna Shift V, then go to vector motion, click OK. Now we should be good to go.
If you find yourself using B-roll clips a lot, you might want to consider using pancake sequences. So for example, you can take your B-roll sequence, put it above your other sequence, scrub your B-roll sequence, find the clip that you want, and easily just click and drag it to your other sequence. If you find yourself using B-roll clips a lot,
yeah, I think that's good. Good to go. All right, 3 down, 1 to go. We are getting closer to the end, everyone. And just a reminder, if you are watching the replay or if you're just tuning in now, you can leave your comments down below, either in the chat live or in the comments afterwards. And if I do a future live stream, might cover your solution for your video editing question. But yeah, we have one more short to do, and then we'll wrap it up for today. All right, so for the last one, I'm just going to duplicate this last short here. Go to duplicate 4, short number 4. Yeah, I create like a short or a Instagram reel once a month, or not once a month, once a week. So I usually plan it out like I create 4 at a time for a month or so. So, you know, I do these 4, then I'm good for a month. And then a month from now, I do another 4. I know I'm good. But yeah, that's usually the schedule, is like 1 long form video a week, 1 short a week. That's how we roll. So I'm going to delete this, keep the music track, go back into here. I believe the last one from this project that I want to make a short of, text-based editing. I already made a short about that. Use Black Video in Premiere Pro. I think this is a unique concept that not a lot of people use or really talk about in general, is Black Videos. So I think having this as a short might be pretty interesting.
say if you have a bunch of clips at the end of your sequence and you want to fade everything out, instead of trying to fade out all the clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video. Just make sure your sequence settings are correct and click OK. And next, drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll notice that you have a nice fade out for the end of your sequence. This can also work for fade.
Just that part we probably need. We'll just go back over here, Command V, paste it. Let's see how, here I am moving it again. 30 seconds, so we're good. Then I'm just gonna go back to this sequence, gonna click on the first clip, hit Command C, I'm gonna paste the attributes to all these clips. I'll hold down Shift V, check motion, click OK. And then same thing with these. Well, this one's a little different. I'm gonna go back to like a normal one. Over here, hit Command C, go over here, hit A on my keyboard for the track select forward tool. Hold down Shift, click on video track 3, or 2, I should say, hit Shift V, make sure motion is selected, and then click OK.
The end of your sequence, and you want to fade everything out instead of trying to fade out all the.
I think I need to make some adjustments here because, yeah, I'm like over here. Go. Honestly, yeah, I want to say, can't remember.
Clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video,
I think here, yeah, what I can do is just go down over here. I might have to do that color matte effect again because black video is like, it's down here in this menu and that needs to be up quite a ways and like over to the left. Yeah. It needs to be like over here. There. So everyone can see it. I'm going to select these first 2 clips and hold Option up to move them up a track. I'm just going to drag out this gray color matte to kind of fill in the background. That way you don't see me underneath it.
Item button in the project panel. Then click on black video. Just click on your new item button in the project panel.
Oh, wait. Oh, I got to copy the attributes. So I'm going to hit Command C, Control V, paste the attributes. That way it's the same motion.
To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video. Just make sure your sequence settings are correct and click OK. And next, drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then click on black video. Just make sure.
I think I might keyframe this.
Create a black video.
I think let's keyframe the position. We're going to go forward 15 seconds. Because I want to show that we're in the project panel. I feel like it's a little confusing before if you just go straight into it.
To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video. Just button in the project panel. Then click on black video. Just make sure your sequence settings are correct and click OK. And then
I think we can trim that out. It's not really necessary. I mean, by default, it chooses your sequence settings already. So unless you want some black video that's a different shape, you don't really need to change that. In this context of using black video.
Video, and next drag.
Ooh, amateur hour.
Video, and next drag that new item.
Wait, what's happening with the... There's like a flicker. That's weird. Alright, an easy way to fix this, guys, is just get your razor tool, make a cut, click on this, right click on it, add frame hold.
And next drag that new item.
Maybe not.
And next.
Wait, does it happen again? When does it happen? Wait, I added a frame hold. Add frame hold.
And next drag.
There. Oh, yeah, it does it again.
Drag that new item to the end of your timeline.
But yeah, that's longer because I'm dragging the new item.
And next drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll notice that you have a nice fade out for the end of your sequence.
That's good. Cut right on the beat there.
Sequence. Say if you have a bunch of clips at the end of your sequence and you want to fade everything out, instead of trying to fade out all the clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video, and next drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll notice that you have a nice fade out for the end of your sequence. Say if you have a...
Yeah, that looks good. Alright, so the last thing is captions. Go to text, transcript, the ellipses, create captions. Same thing, we're dragging this all the way to the left. I notice like if you click and drag all the way and you let go and you come back, like it doesn't, it still thinks it's being clicked on. So yeah, you have to go all the way to the left and then kind of like click again. And then once it's deselected, then you know you're good. So that's a bug I noticed with these closed caption controls. So I'm going to stylize this using the same style we did before. Just going to click on one, change the font, change the size, and then click the up button. And then we're going to marquee select all of these, and then go to captions and titles, and then upgrade captions to graphic. And then this is going to be a little tricky. I need to find a good placement for these. Kind of like that area. I'll paste the attributes and we'll see what happens. You only know when you play it back.
out, instead of trying to fade out all the clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video, and next drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll know.
Needs to be up a little bit, I think, in general. Like up here. Then I think it should be fine.
Of your sequence and you want to fade everything out, instead of trying to fade out all the clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video, and next drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll notice that you have a nice fade out for the end of your sequence. Say if you have a bunch of clips that
looks good. All right. Export this out, and we are done. All right, it just finished. We'll just check it one more time here.
Say if you have a bunch of clips at the end of your sequence and you want to fade everything out, instead of trying to fade out all the clips, you can use what's called a black video. To create a black video, just click on your new item button in the project panel. Then click on black video, and next drag that new item to the end of your timeline. Then hit Command or Control D. This will add the cross dissolve effect to it. And then just delete the end transition and trim it, and you'll notice that you have a nice fade out for the end of your sequence.
Cool. It looks good. All right. Well, that wraps it up, guys. Now the only thing left to do is just schedule these out, and then we are good to go. All right, well, that concludes today's live stream. Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions in the chat. And also, if you have questions that you didn't get answered today, if you still have questions, feel free to comment down below after the stream is over. Also, if I make videos on my channel or you watch some other content and you have questions, feel free to leave them on my next live stream. I'll cover them. Or at least the ones I can answer. But hopefully this video has been helpful for you, whether you found value in the questions that were asked earlier, or if you wanted to see how I repurpose my full long form content into shorts or reels. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the week, and yeah, till next time, happy video editing. Take care, guys.